Okay, this is my fifth out of the six drill steps I've got to do. I thought I'd show you with the how fast things go. I've turned the speed of the lathe down just slightly also. As you get into the bigger and bigger drills, you slow down. Anyway, here goes. Since I'm only taking off a little bit of metal at a time, it goes pretty fast. If you remember back to the first hole, it was rather slow. Anyway, I'm going into the full extent of what I've drilled already. And that should be about it, inch and a half. There you go. Back it out. Okay, I'm now set up with the final 3/8 inch size that I'll be using drill bits for, and then I'll go to boring bar. So here goes the last of the drill cuts. Take a look for my depth. Turn it off. And one way to check that is simple. And see whether that's an inch and a half. It doesn't look like it. Just barely there. So I'm going to give it a little more. That should be enough now. We'll back her out. Measure for sure. And sometimes you can just do that with something like one of these little bars that yeah, you can see I have an inch and a half plus. Okay, anyway, the whole diameter is the critical thing, not the length. And basically, the whole diameter will be cut out to the, or bored out to a 1/2 inch, because that's the size of the mandrel that I'll have to put into it in order to turn the workpiece around. I'll be first machining the base, the bottom side of it, which is the longest taper. I'll get that done, and I'll also then remount. I'll bore out the hole for about a 1/2 inch up to, I think it's 0.561, which is the diameter that I'll use to for the straight part of the stack, inserting into the diamond part. Since the last time we were recording, I did some turning on the bottom part of this. So I have turned this band, and I turned this shape. This is used with a taper. I use a compound slide mounted on my cross slide, and so where I am now is up to this point, ready to do this edge and this part here, but I have to first turn it. In order to do that, I have to drill a 1/2 inch hole through the length of the diamond shaped stack. So I'll just show you where I am now, and then we'll go from there. Let's focus in or zoom in a little bit. You can see the bottom part. That's the longest taper right here. And what I'm now is set up to do is to enlarge the 3/8 inch hole that I had drilled out using this boring bar that you see. And I have to take off enough. Right now I have about 60 thousandths to go to get to the 1/2 inch diameter. The 1/2 inch is the size that will fit my mandrel. That way I can turn this all around, take it out of the chuck, put the mandrel into the chuck itself, and that'll be enough to hold this piece where I can then work on the taper that goes from here to here. Okay, we're ready to go. I'm going to turn on the lathe, and I'll be cranking. I'm going maybe 3 or 4 thousandths at a time, and you can hear it cut. I'll go into the extent of the hole that I have previously made. It doesn't go all the way through. And again, you can see I've added a mark on the shaft here to tell me where that distance is. I take things very slowly. That keeps me from making scrap. You'll hear me hit the bottom in a second. I approach it very close. There it is. I take it slowly not to make mistakes, as I said, but I also, as I'm backing this out, I'll show you, I also go to the trouble of laying out the steps I'm going to take, because sometimes it's not all that straightforward. You got to do things in the right sequence, otherwise you cut yourself into a corner. Okay, I'm going to do another 3 thousandths. Go again. Once I get this half-inch hole, and put it on the mandrel, turn things around, I will basically cut the length, the final length. No, I won't. I won't do that until later, but I will probably take the part down that's hasn't been machined down yet. You can see this is the final diameter of this outside ring, and I'll be doing the taper from there. But this piece back here, obviously, I need to get it out of the way, and I'll probably just surface this until it gets to the same diameter as this. But the stack is only going to be about, that's the extent of it right there about. And I'll do some layout work before I get to that step. Anyway, I'll finish this up off camera and get you back in a moment. Oh, another thing while we're here is you can see how this is called the compound slide, and it allows you to set the number of degrees. This happens to be turned at 28 degrees. There's formulas for doing that, like the length of the taper, what is the major diameter and the minor diameter, and then a formula that tells you what the degrees are you should set on your compound slide, which is on this red base. But the CAD program I'm using gives me that as a direct piece of information that I can use, and I found that once I've laid out the stack on the CAD, it just cuts down all kinds of guesswork and making mistakes. So anyway, that's wanted to show you that. Okay, I'm down to my last couple passes, and taking off the last 6 thousandths. This is the 3 of them anyway. I'm going to do it in a couple passes. I'll sneak up on it, back out the boring tool far enough in order to fit the mandrel in. I'll show you that in a second. And come to the end here. Hear it? There you go. Let's see, it was 13 thousandths divided by 2 is 6 and a little bit. So I did 3. Now we'll do a couple. After I do this one, I will check it again. You learn real fast that you can't put metal back on. So we should be within a thousandths or two at this point, I believe. Let's get that all the way out of there. We'll try to fit this in. Oh, by the way, this is the mandrel. You can see it's a solid shaft with 4 slices at the end, and then a screw. It's a hex screw that will expand that end to hold it in place. So let's see how we're doing here. That's good. Of course, what I should have done is measured the mandrel to see whether it truly was 5. It should be. Actually, it's a little less than 5. Okay, now since the last time we were on here, we have parted the workpiece, and the length now is from here, this point to this point, is about 1/32 longer than it should be, and that means I'll do some more turning on this end after I finish doing the taper. Once I parted it off, I mounted it on this arbor or mandrel, and I had to change the mandrel that I showed before because I couldn't get it to tighten up sufficiently. So I procured this arbor, which is a tapered shaft and then a tapered flexible slide that goes on it. So the higher you slide it on there, the wider it gets. So I can go from a 1/2 inch all the way to 9/16. Anyway, so then I put the workpiece back on now in a reverse fashion, and I've started to turn. I just finished turning this part right here, which is let me get closer here. It's hard to see, but this ring right here is a 1/16 inch wide, so I've cut down a 1/16 inch away from this edge down to match the depth of the ring on the other side of the taper, so that it'll look like a ring instead of 2 different things. Or it's made of one piece, so I have to make it look like it is a ring.